All right. Hi, friends. I think I'm live. It's just taking its sweet time to start. Maybe I need to hit the play button. Aha, there we go. All right. So I have this pulled up on my phone. Hi, Debbie. Good afternoon to you as well. All right, I've got it pulled up on my phone, so I'll be able to see everything. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. Kind of a last minute decision that I've made to do a live today, but I thought it would be fun. Hi, Vicki. Hi, Catherine. Thanks for joining me. Hi, Wendy. All right. So I kind of did some polls, and I'm going to, of course, be using the new release from Pinkfresh Studio that went live on Friday. So I narrowed it down to the cling stamps. So those beautiful floral backgrounds that have the matching stencils. And so I put a couple little polls up, both on Instagram and here on my community channel. Hi, Brienne. And I'm going to be honest with you, Poppy Mix won by like a small percentage, but I was having a hard time coming up with an idea. I'm going to use it absolutely again in the future. So because Blushing Peony was just right there, I decided to go with Blushing Peony because I actually do have a fun idea with Blushing Peony. We're going to make a Christmas card out of it. So I apologize if you wanted to see Poppy Mix. I will plan to do that in the near future. So before we flip this around and get going, for everyone already here live, hi, and even upon replay, because next weekend is the holidays, and so I'm unlikely to do a live stream. So my goal, and I'm starting it early in 2023, is to go live at least once a week on my personal channel, and probably for the most part that will be on Sundays, just because of my work schedule. Now this week, because next weekend is a holiday weekend, I was contemplating doing an evening live stream. Keep in mind, I'll have to use artificial light, and I don't think my camera loves artificial light as much, but you know what? It still is okay. It would still be fun to hang out with everyone. And maybe then I can do Poppy Mix. I have a feeling Heather might be using Poppy Mix this week on an upcoming live as well on the Pinkfresh Studio channel. So be sure to catch that as well. I don't know for sure, but I think that might be the case. Anyway, now I'm just kind of jibber jabbering. But yes, I'm excited to use the peonies for Christmas. I think it's going to be really pretty. The card that I made the first time around with the Blushing Peony was very bright and springy. So we're going to be using a little bit more bold colors and turning it to be a little bit more wintry. So I'm excited about that. All right. So going back to, I had a question for you guys and then I forgot to ask it. If there is an evening this week that would work better for doing another live, let me know. You can tell me in the live comments now. You can tell me just in the comments if you happen to catch this on replay. And I'll probably also put a poll option in my Instagram stories and maybe here under the community section as well. Hi, Candace. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Crafty99. Hi, good to see you too. I don't know your handle, so if you want to, if you feel, if you want to, you don't have to. Let me know who you are. All right, perfect. So just let me know if there is an evening night this week that would work better for you. Of course, not everyone's schedules will work together, but I'll kind of do like majority wins and what also works best for my schedule as well. All right, so we should probably get this turned around Donna, it took me a few. Oh, I know most of the time I'm on the Pinkfresh Studio YouTube channel, but my goal in 2023 is to grow my own channel. So I'm going to work on doing more stuff for my personal channel in my off hours. Oh, Candace, I'm jealous. It's not snowing here anymore, but we did just get a lot of snow. So our snow is now fresh and pretty, and our trees are covered in it. And I love that. So I'm a little jealous that you are currently getting snow. Now I should probably get this flipped around and we should get going. Okay. Let me turn that setting off. Okay, so here we are. I'm just waiting for it to flip over on my phone to make sure all is well. We'll keep an eye on the light. I think the lighting is going to be fine for the next hour or so. But if for some reason it starts to get overtly dark, I'll flip my lights on in here so that you won't miss out what I'm doing. Oh, hi, Annette. Annette, thank you for sharing that with me. Oh, thanks, Donna. I appreciate that. Okay, so like I mentioned today, we're going to use the new Blooming Peony with the coordinating stencils. And I just love peonies. I have them all over my yard, my current yard. Of course, we're moving to Montana next year, which I'm really excited about. And I'm certain I will also be planting peonies there. But for the past 2 years, we've been gone when our peonies were in bloom, which makes me sad. But it was for a good reason, so it's okay. But I do miss seeing my peonies in bloom. But I also love creating with all of the fun peony product that's out there. And Pinkfresh definitely has some really lovely peony products. So this is brand new. I do have the new stuff linked in the video description. When I'm done, I will create a link list of everything specifically that I used for today, and I'll edit this and I'll add it into the video description as well. I just wasn't completely sure until right up until we were about to go live what I was going to do. So that is, I will make sure and update that, and then I'll get this photographed and on my blog as well. Hi, Tracy. Okay, so one thing is I'm doing some reorganizing in my room currently. My husband had to fix my desk because it needed a little bit more support and was kind of collapsing on me. So he fixed my desk last weekend. He built me another drawer of storage. But always, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but when you reorganize, you kind of forget where everything was. So sometimes I kind of fumble around trying to find everything. But I'll get there. And everything's a little bit further away from me too. So if my voice kind of fades for a second, it's because I am trying to grab something in a drawer that's a little further away from me. Now I do need to get my Misty set up for a cling stamp. So let me grab my stuff for that. This is a little tip that I have for anybody out there who, one, their Misty might be a little bit older, or two, is just a light stamper like me when I'm using cling stamps. So you take the mouse pad out, but then I take just a few sheets of the Misty paper and I put it in there to act like a shim. And I've just found that for me, because I am a pretty light stamper, I just get better results when I do that. So that is completely optional. You don't have to do that. But for me, it works better because it just gives me a little bit more pressure and a little bit more oomph when it comes to stamping these stamps, because I am such a light stamper. Now, you could, of course, use a smaller piece of cardstock than this. I like to be able to hold my paper down with the magnets. So I just use that larger piece. And then if possible, maybe I'll stamp a couple of sentiments in the unused cardstock, or use it for die cutting layers for stacking. Thank you, Janine. Okay, so we've got that. So first things first, let's prep our cardstock with the anti-static tool. got a little much over there because I'm going to heat emboss this. Now, I want to go for this white. I want white embossing on white cardstock because I really think that once we start ink blending, it will pop. Now, keep in mind, when I go to start, well, one, you probably won't see the image very well at first because it's going to be white on white. And it will probably be a little bit harder for you guys to see me adhering or aligning the stencils to the embossed image. But in the end, I think that it is going to be awesome. Okay. So I like to stamp a couple times when it comes to embossing ink. First reason being, well, one, I'm a light stamper. And so I don't know that I get a good impression the first time around, typically anyway. Two, I think when you apply the anti-static powder tool to the cardstock, it does really dry it out, which in turn makes it where I feel like it just kind of soaks up that embossing ink really, really fast that first time. So gotta love our Misties. They make our stamping life so much easier. I was actually not a good stamper before the Misty came out. I had a lot of do-overs, and I focused more on like patterned paper and stuff like that. Hi, Joan. Thanks for joining me. Hi, Mary. Mary Kay. I'm not sure which you prefer to be called. I'm going to do just one more stamp impression for good measure. It's probably overkill, but just for good measure and because, you know, I can. All right, perfect. So I will set aside my Misty stamping paper and I'll just clean that off later. I'm not too worried about a little bit of embossing ink sticking around on my stamp for now. And of course I used our lovely stamp press tool from Pinkfresh. I do think it's currently out of stock. So sign up for a restock notification if you're interested in getting it. I love this thing. Isn't it so cute? And it's actually it's probably the best stamp press tool that I've used thus far, and sustainable, which I love. Oh, hi guys. Hi, Cindy. Oh, thank you, Joan. I love to hear that so much. I'm glad you really loved the December release. We did too. Okay, let's get this heat embossed. This is just Wow embossing powder, the opaque, bright white, super fine. It does not come in this. It's just like a sandwich container that I bought. I think I just got them on Amazon. So this embossing powder does come in like one of those larger tubs. And so I bought that, and I like this option. I like being able to pour it into the container, not have to mess with an extra piece of paper. So I just really like this option here. I think got some good coverage there. And I think we got it where I think it covered everywhere we needed it to. So let's go ahead and clean this up. Okay, good. I'm in good company then for all of the people out there that weren't good stampers until stamping platforms came out. All right, so there we have our image, all nice and heat embossed. So I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss it here shortly. Zoom has been kind of hit or miss on muting me when it comes to the heat tool. So here's hoping it does mute me, but if it doesn't, I'm sorry if you're having to deal with the big loud heat tool.
pink. I got it all melted. Oh, that's funny, Mary Kay. Like the cosmetics, but no pink Cadillac. That's hilarious. All right, now I know that this is going to be a little harder for everyone to see now, but I think once we start ink blending it, it is going to really come to life. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining me. Okay, good. Cindy also had a hard time with stamping before the Misty. So once again, still in very good company. All right, just getting any excess powder off of there. Just trying to flatten it out a little bit. Okay, let's see here. I need to grab some tape here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and tape this down to my surface. There's lots of ways that you can do this. This is just my preferred method of taping it down to my glass mat and then taping the stencils down on top of that. So that's just my preferred method. You can do this anyway. Okay, so we are going to use the stencils. Now, I don't know that I do the stencils in order of their numbers. I don't. So stencil number 1 technically colors in the entire background, but I like to do this one last. So I'm going to put it on the bottom because, you know, I'm a human being and it's possible that I might get a stencil off here and there. So I like the ability to, at the end, make any small adjustments that needs to be for filling in that entire background. So then the order that I go in is stencil 2, stencil 4, stencil 3, stencil 5, stencil 6, stencil 7, and then back to stencil 1. So this is a 7-piece stencil set, mostly because we added that background in. I think that's where that 7th stencil comes into place. So other than that, we are just filling in all of our different flowers and leaves and greenery and such. So I'm going to grab just some normal washi tape. I have bags of this stuff and I don't really use it on projects much. So I like to use it for taping down my stencils. And then I kind of have something pretty to look at while I'm ink blending. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this nice and lined up. All right, I think we like that there. So my main peony, I'm going to try to give it more of a kind of a white tone. And then I have to sorry, I had to step back and grab my little ink stand here. So I'm going to use Misty Coast for the large peony here. But I'm just also going to be really, really light-handed as I blend this in, because I just really want to subtly blend in this flower, because I do really want it to keep that somewhat kind of white look to it. So I chose gray because I thought that was kind of a good tone for the more wintry feel that I want my card to have. But you could do, if you wanted it to be more warm tone, you could pick like warm buff or peach fuzz. You could do a super light shade of green like fresh pear or mint and just really buff out excess ink off your brush to do this more white toned flower. There's lots of ways to do this. So I was super light-handed, and look at that. It's just kind of looking a little bit like shadowing on there. I am not going to change colors on the next one. So I am going to line this up here But I am going to get a little bit more detail oriented on it. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these small brushes from Pinkfresh. These are not released yet unless so the only people that currently have these small brushes are the people that were part of our holiday event. Now we will be releasing them. I believe Kinnery said she's trying for January, but she's not sure that she'll get our full order in by then. So it may be February before these release. So now, because that first stencil was kind of more like, oops, pardon me, let's see, was kind of more like the under layer of the flowers. So now we're doing what that outer layer is. And I really don't want to be heavy-handed with the gray at all. I'm gonna want a part of this to really actually stay very white. So I'm going to use my smaller brush here and just really focus in on the grays just being at the center, and then just lightly brushing it out. I probably won't even fully get ink out to these corners. I'm really just kind of brushing out any excess towards that way. And really focusing in here on the center, just kind of acting a little bit like shadowing. Yeah, the details in this release were fantastic. And look at that. I just think that that ends up so fun. You got a little bit of detail in there, but for the most part, that peony is nice and white. I think I'm going to put the stencil back on and add just a little bit more into this petal right here. I do feel like it got a little bit neglected. So I'm going to just put the stencil right back on. Do my best to line it up exactly how I had it before, but not a huge deal if it's not. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add in a little bit more, just right in here. Oh, thanks. Oh, Joan, they're so great. There's especially, I love them for this kind of technique. I also love them for the stencil layers that have such small detail in them that these are like super perfect for those. So if you can wait until whenever they go live, most likely February, I am loving these. I'm loving mine. I've been using them a lot lately. I've been using them since we debuted them for the holiday event. And so I am loving them. Okay, I like how that looks so much better. It's probably really hard to see on camera, but I just think it's lovely. And I think that's really going to pop once we add in all of the rest of the colors around it, because the rest of the colors around it, friends, are going to be super bold. So really just that peony is going to be this like light wintry color. Okay, so we are moving on to the little smaller flowers that are part of this. And also note that this is also a flower center. So keep that in mind. We try to not make it where there's too much extra space on a stencil. And if there's a place for maybe something you might want to be a different color where you could either easily mask or just selectively blend in that space, we try to include as much as we can in there. I'm going to just redo that now that I have my tape down, because I feel like I got it a little off when I put the tape on. Okay, so first things first, let's grab our Marigold and let's grab our other set of small brushes. And we're just going to get that flower center done. It's the only thing that's going to be this color of the Marigold. So we're just going to kind of daub it in there, pretty dark. And then that is done and I can wipe it down. Hi, Cheryl. Oh, it's so fun that you're crafting along with me. I love that. Yes, and these are super, super fun. And Cheryl got hers from the holiday event, so always a fun little thing. All right, so then we have these other flowers, and we're gonna go with red on these guys. And I am going to go ahead and use my bigger brush for this one, but I think I used candy apple on it last, so I'm also gonna go ahead and clean it out a little bit so that I don't get too much candy apple in my Berrylicious. All right, I feel like that's pretty good there. Yeah, guys, I love the small brushes a lot. They are fantastic. I've already put a request in for more sets. Okay, so for these, just gonna go in and get some ink blended into them. Okay. So we're going pretty bold on these with the Berrylicious. I agree. I think that the small brushes are super game changers when you're wanting to add more detail into your blended images. And as layering stencils get more detailed and, you know, we seem to be pushing the envelope a lot on the stencils and how detailed we get them. So as they continue to get more detailed and all of that, I think these smaller brushes will be super, super handy. All right, I'm trying to avoid the flower middle there, so I'm trying not to get too much ink. So just do like a quick clean up there. Okay, so I think we have a little bit more of the flower to do, but I'm going to be honest with you, I actually like this flower as is. So I'm going to just not do anything with the bigger peony, but I will use it to line this stencil up. And then I'm just going to add in the little middles on those red flowers. Oh, fun. Using our holiday event product for your Christmas cards. That's awesome. That was the point of the event. So I'm happy to hear that. All right, just cleaning my brush off a little bit. And then I'm going to move over to my little small guy. And we're just going to stick with Berrylicious. And I'm just going to daub a little bit more Berrylicious in just to be deeper toned on these little blooms. Just go right to the stencil. Get those in there. All right, feeling pretty good about that. And like, how fun are the little boxes that they come in? I don't even need additional storage. They fit, the little boxes fit nice in like the drawers that I have. I'm just so thrilled with that. Right, I'm gonna just do my best to lightly clean because this is also cleaning off my heat embossed lines as well. So, but I don't want to get any red in my flower that I didn't want to ink blend at all. So just trying to be careful there. There we go. I don't even know that you can really tell that I added any ink into the middle of those flowers. So probably was a moot point. All right, we are moving on to the next stencil. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not using these stencils in their numbered order at all. So I think I told the order at the beginning of what I was doing. So, but you can order your stencils however you prefer. You can stick with the numbered order that we put them in or change them up. I'm kind of a changer upper because I have a blending order that works for my brain, and it's flowers first, both full outline and details, and then greenery and such and such. So, all right. So for this first layer of greenery, we are going to use olive. I need to grab my green brush here, clean it out a little bit. Okay. Let's get the first layer of greenery done. And I typically blend a little deeper at the base of where the image would be coming from, and then work my way out. It's not always perfect that way, but that's typically my tendency. But you can blend these however you want. If you're heavy-handed, you can blend really deep. You can keep it nice and light. It's a great thing about blending is it's definitely a very personal preference. And you can really do it however you see fit or what works best for you. Okay. This is also a good one where you could ink blend with your larger brushes like this, and then come in behind it and even add more detail in if you wanted. That's always a really fun option. Yes, I agree, Kathy. That's a great one because, like I mentioned, we definitely push the envelope for detail when it comes to our stencils, and sometimes that does make areas of the stencil a little bit more delicate. So those small brushes are really great for that as well. Thankfully, our stencils are really, really sturdy. So even in those delicate pieces, I've never even come close to breaking one, even when I have maybe snagged it or grabbed it with my cleaning cloth, kind of forgetting that it wasn't as, that it was so delicate. So super thankful for very sturdy stencils, but you are perfectly correct that it's also nice on those ones to have the smaller brushes for being a little bit more careful. All right, we have 2 stencils left, friends. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm in good company with stencil reorder. That's kind of one of the first things I do after I photograph everything for the release. Then I tend to put everything in the order that works best for my brain. Of course, I photograph them in the numbered order that we have designed them in, and then I change them all up. Okay, I'm going to grab just a quick drink of water, and then we'll get going on this second set of greenery. All right. We are switching over to our other darkest shade of green, which is evergreen. I love, love, love olive and evergreen together. They're from 2 different green color families, Garden Stroll and Over the Hills, but they look fantastic together. So I think it's such a fun, and I think they look really fantastic together for Christmas cards. All right, so we're just gonna get these guys blended in too. Evergreen is a little deeper than olive is. So some of these, I'm also blending in details over top of the olive, which is always a really nice contrast. Okay. Here with those details. See if there's any more of the other greenery. I want to be a little deeper toned, but I think we're pretty good. I'll just pick up any excess ink I can here and just use it up so it doesn't go to waste. Okay. Let's buff this a little clean. All right, so there is that. And how lovely is that? And the honest truth is you could stop there. You really don't have to put this final stencil in, which colors in the background. If you wanted it to be not so bold, you could stop here. And I think that this is really, really a lovely design here. But we are gonna take it a step further, and we're going to do the background on this card because I'm really wanting to go with a bold look here. So the reason why I like to do this stencil last, even though it's technically stencil number 1, is just because I'm human, and it's possible I didn't get those stencils lined up perfectly, every single one of them. So this allows me to make small adjustments so that that background will be nice and colored in, and I hopefully won't have any gaps anywhere. I am also still trying to embrace imperfections because this is handmade. It's not Hallmark, and it is okay if there are imperfections. So we are going to start this background with sapphire because I'm wanting it to look a little bit like the night sky. I think that is going to be really fun. So we're going to start with sapphire, and then I'm going to come in. What is that? I'm going to come in with a smaller brush and kind of do a little more detail work with Stargazer, which is our really dark blue. So, but we're going to start out with sapphire, which is a little more jewel toned. I'll probably still blend it pretty heavily in here. But I'm really excited for how I think this is gonna turn out. Here's hoping it turns out the way that I think it will. Sometimes that doesn't always go to plan, but I think in the end, no matter what, even if it doesn't look exactly as I expect it to, I still think it's gonna be really, really fun. All right. So I am just going to blend over top of the entire image first with the sapphire. Okay, this is a big surface to ink blend. This takes a little time. Oh, hi. I'm not sure if you say your name Jilly or Gilly, but hi, welcome. Glad you're here joining me. No worries if you're joining late. It will absolutely be available for a replay either immediately or not too long after I end. So if you missed anything that you want to see, you can always watch it back. Okay. Okay. So now I feel pretty good about the sapphire layer. So let's just do a quick wipe down in hopes that I don't get sapphire all over me. Now let's go ahead and grab Stargazer. Clean my brush up here a little bit. And we're going to grab, there we go. We're going to grab a small blue brush, which I think is this guy. I don't think I've even used these for blue yet. And we are going to blend in some deeper tone, just coming straight from the middle. And I'm not going to blend it all the way out. But I am going to try to make sure I don't have harsh lines. Hopefully that didn't get my flower. If it did, that's okay. Remember what I said about embracing imperfections. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad you like the sapphire color. I do too. I think it's very fun. Okay. So one thing about these smaller brushes is they can get underneath your stencils a little easier than, say, those big brushes. So I do try to be careful about that. But, you know, like I said, I try not to worry too much if there's little minor imperfections. It's not a huge deal. Okay, I think I'm feeling pretty good about that. Kind of clean that guy off a little, put him away. Broken in another small brush. And this one, I'm not going to, ooh, look at that. So it did get on my flower a little bit over here. But you know what? I am not going to worry about it because I can maybe place something there to cover it. Or honestly, once we add a sentiment and all of that, I don't know that anybody would ever notice. And I just have a feeling my brush kind of slipped underneath and kind of grazed that surface with the stargazer. But I am not going to worry about it. And look at how now the white flower really does pop, because all of that is so colorful. The rest of it is so colorful. Okay, let's go ahead and get this tape removed. I will clean my stencils later. The way that I clean them is I just have a bottle. Oop, that's stamp cleaner. I just have a bottle on my desk of isopropyl alcohol. I get it at Target. It's like the 70% brand. And I will just use this same dry cloth and a few spritzes of alcohol per stencil and wipe them clean. And that gets any leftover ink residue off the stencils, but then they're also instantly dry. And you can either put them away or use them again, completely up to you. But I'll do that once the live stream's over so that you don't have to worry about watching that. But we are not totally finished here. We're going to take this a little bit, one step further with a little bit of white splatter to kind of make it nice and snowy. But I do have to grab my splatter box. So give me a second while I go run and grab that real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, it wasn't too far. It was just on the other side of the room, but I knew that you wouldn't be able to hear me if I kept talking. So to do that, we are going to use this Amsterdam acrylic ink. I actually recently bought something that I think might work a little bit better than this, but it hasn't arrived yet. So something that might stay a little bit more opaque, but you know, for now, I'm going to use what I have on hand. So I'm just going to get it nice and shook up here. And then I have, so this was a swag piece from our very first event that we ever did. And it is a brush holder. And so I keep my brushes in it. And I think I'm going to go with this one, which is a size 4 watercolor brush. I think it does nice splatter sizes. The small brushes are not available yet. So the only people that have them are the people that were part of our, what's the word I'm looking for, our holiday Create and Connect event, but they will become available in the Pinkfresh Studio online shop in either January or February. We're just waiting on our full shipment. Okay, so now let's go ahead and grab my splatter box. Now, my splatter box totally throws off my white balance. So I pardon me when it comes into view here. It just kind of is what it is for this part. Once I remove it, it should go back to normal. All right, so I don't want to get any, I don't mind if there is ink on the outside of the flowers, but I don't want any splatters on the middle of it on that, basically that yellow centerpiece. So I'm going to cover that up with a little bit of Post-it tape. And then I'm just going to put this on my glass mat. So I'm not doing anything special, but you won't be able to see it. It just looks like this. It's just kind of like a liquid, watered down paint, possibly. So that's just, I'm just putting that over on the right side of my desk. And then I just take my brush straight to it. So I haven't done anything special. I've just taken my brush straight to it. And then we're just going to tap the brush to create nice little splatters for my background here. So not doing anything special with it, just getting nice little splatters. And I'll probably end up having splatters everywhere when all is said and done with this. That's okay. I think that will make a nice, fun, wintry project. Okay. Some more in there. Right. Not much rhyme or reason to what I'm doing here. Just trying to find areas where I feel like it might need a little more splatter. Of course, the splatters never go right where you want them to. It's like the law of splatter physics. All right, I think I'm happy with that. So I am going to pull this out. I'm going to remove my splatter box real quick. See, now my coloring went back to normal, thank goodness. And then after this is over, I'm sure I'll end up finding a ton of places where there are white splatters that I don't want them to be. So I'll be doing some cleaning. I'm going to go ahead and remove that Post-it tape. And for now, we are going to set this aside and we are going to let it dry. So I have a glass of water that I'm going to put my brush in because I don't want that to dry onto my brush. So I'll clean it a little more extensively later, but I just wanted to make sure that that would be cleaned off. And then I have a damp cloth over here. This is actually damp, and I'm just going to wipe up the rest of that acrylic ink that was on my glass mat so that it doesn't dry either. You could also always put that acrylic ink onto like a clear block like this. If you don't have a glass mat, clear blocks are great for using as like a little paint palette as well. So that is something that you can also do. Yes, I will add the supplies at the end. I had just it was like a last minute decision, like final decision on the design of this card. So I didn't have a chance to create this supply list, but I will, and I will add it into the video description. And then I'm sure after I get this guy photographed that I will be blogging it and all that fun stuff as well. Okay, let me get this closed so it doesn't dry up. Cleaned off a little. All right, so I have about a bazillion already foiled sentiments. And so I decided I think I'm going to just use one of those today for my card versus doing any additional foiling, just because I think it's, this is a great way to use up things that you already have. So I'm just trying to figure out which one I want to use. Now I kind of also like this joy option here. Let me just take a look at the different colors I have. I've got matte gold. I think that was polished brass. That one's kind of fun as well. Ooh, I kind of like those. That might be kind of fun as well. And then adding even a little snowflake to the center, or grabbing a secondary sentiment, that would be kind of fun as well. And I think that would look really fun in either corner. All right, I think we're going to stick with that. And I think I'm going to use this fun kind of silvery, glittery color here. I mean, I could do gold. Let me look at the gold with it. That is kind of pretty too. Oh, thank you, Janine. Let's see. Well, you know, the gold is really nice too, actually. And maybe that will warm it up a little bit. And then I'm trying to decide, do I want to do the solid, the normal the standard foiling, or the outline, which is the solid foiling? Okay, I'm gonna leave those two options out and put the rest away, just because I feel like this is all kind of chaos right here. Not that guy. All of these away. And I do need to grab, I forgot to grab the stamp set that I want to pull secondary sentiment from, I think. So I gotta go grab that real quick as well. So, but this is where I keep all of my, this is how I keep all of like my little extras. This is just a 5x7 photo case that I have. I think I got a whole bunch of them from Michael's. And I use these a lot for organizational purposes. So I'll put like washi tape pieces, you know, like the die cut pieces that we have at Pinkfresh Studio. I have them in these type of things. All of like my foiled frames that I have extras of, these I just find super handy for organizational purposes. So this is all Christmas. I may keep it close by because I might end up using a little snowflake in the middle of the O, but bear with me for a second while I grab a stamp set for doing a secondary sentiment with that. I feel like the Ornaments stamp set might have a perfect one for this. Good Tidings of Great Joy. I love that one. Let Your Hearts Be Light. Sending Love, Peace, and Joy. There's lots of great options on this one. So I think what I'm going to do with this, while we're still waiting for this guy to dry a little bit, because I do want to cut the panel out with a die, but I don't want to smush down any paint yet. So I think we're going to let this dry a little bit longer, and I will get a little secondary sentiment stamped. I think I'm just going to stamp it on white cardstock in black. So I just have to find a little scrap. All right, this should be fine. It has a little piece cut out of it, but let me grab my little mini Misty here. I will say this, I do think that using scraps like this need to be normalized in our industry. I feel like so often people grab these big chunks or like full A2 size panels for doing little stamping like this. And I think that like using randomly cut pieces or odd shaped things need to get normalized so that people understand that we all use our scraps. I'm a super frugal person, so I use every scrap I possibly can. I think I'm going to go with Good Tidings of Great Joy, but this is a little bendy, so bear with me for a second. I'm going to grab this guy real quick as well to use it as a guide to make sure that my sentiment stays nice and lined up. So let's see here. Let's grab this. I'm going to try to get it as close to the edge as I can, but I want to have some room for being able to trim it down as well. So I am going to grab this guy. Let me just make sure that it still seems like it's straight. I feel like even then this still got a little off. There we go. Okay. Then you can just remove your little grid thing. I don't know where I got that, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. I feel like it's something I bought specifically for a Misty, but I don't know where I got it, so I apologize. I think you could probably make one pretty easily. Then I'm going to grab my little detail block ink cube, and we are going to ink this guy up. I like to ink really lightly, so just barely kiss the surface of the stamp so that I don't change the integrity of the sentiment. And if need be, you can always stamp a couple times. Let me try that one more time just to get a little bit more ink on there. Okay. It's possible that my cube needs a little re-inking. Okay. Ugh, you know what? That kind of got icky right there. I think I'm going to try it one more time, guys. Bear with me. Sorry about this. I'm not the only crafter that has to do things over again. It almost like it bled a little bit. It's almost like it got a little watery. So let me try it again on this side. I have that little bit of pink blending there. Hopefully maybe, oh, maybe put it back in the same place where you were. I think I'll avoid that blending, so I think we're good. Let's try that one more time. And hopefully I won't get that weird pooling. I must have maybe I pressed too hard. I don't know. Who knows, friends? I always find sentiment stamping like one of the hardest things. See, like I feel like the G. All right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to avoid getting more ink on good, and I'm going to stamp up just the middle part more, because I feel like good is good, but the rest of it's not as good. So let's just do that. Much better. There we go. Makes me wonder if my stamp has a little bit of unlevelness to it on that one, because that can happen. But that looks like 1,000 times better. So thanks for bearing with me while I redid that. All right, let's go ahead and put this away. And we will get this card finished here. All right, let me grab my trimmer. Trim it down here. All right, and I will line it up nice and good with the metal line. That's on my paper trimmer because I want it to be nice and thin little strip here. Okay. Ah. Could have maybe been taking it a little further on the top, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about that. That's being ultra picky. And then for the ends, I am just going to trim it down with scissors. I just think that's so much easier than trying to fumble with it in a paper trimmer. Okay. All right. So at this point, I forgot I redid it. There we go. At this point, I think we should be good for cutting this down. And I am going to use one of our stitched rectangles to cut it down. It will cut a little bit off the edges because the Blooming Peony is an edge-to-edge A2 size, but I'm going to mat it within an A2 size panel, so it will cut a little bit off of the edges. So I'm going to, I really want the white flower to be a really good star of the show. So I'm going to cheat to the left side of the image in order to make sure as much of that is shown as possible. I need to grab my plate here. My die cut machine is a little off camera, so you won't get to see that, but I assume you probably know how to die cut, so we should be good there. So I'm just lining up the outer edge of the die with the basically upper right edge of the image we just did together. Just going to get it nice and taped into place so it doesn't move on me as I run it through my machine. So I'm going to run it through my Gemini Junior, and I will be back in just a second. Let's see how that did. And that is lovely. I just love the nice crisp edge that metal dies give, and then the little tiny bit of a stitched accent. Give me a metal die any day, and I'm a happy camper. I don't know about the rest of you, but that is like my favorite. And then now this is really dirty, but this side is perfectly clean. So I can trim this down and I can use this side for, you know, stamping little sentiments like we just did there, or, you know, stacking purposes for dies. So I won't toss this, honestly. I'll keep this and use it up so that, because you know, hammer mill cardstock is not cheap these days. And so I use every last little bit of it that I possibly can. Okay. I realized. Sorry about that. I realized I need to make my foam adhesive panel. I didn't prep one beforehand. So I make these on my own with just white craft foam that you can really get anywhere. Any, you know, craft store. I think you can get them on Amazon too. If you prefer them to be shipped to you. You can get Pro Packs on michaels.com, just an FYI. And it's just the white craft foam that you find in the kids section. And then this is 5-inch score tape. And I typically get that on Amazon. That's typically the best price that I find for it. So in the video description, I do have a link to my favorites. And my Amazon list is at the top, because while I do try to support small business as much as possible, I also have to protect my pocketbook. So there are just some things that are, you know, better priced on Amazon. And so I do have a link list there with all the different things that I typically tend to get on Amazon. Okay, so thanks, Wendy. We've got our little foam. Maybe if I can get the release paper up. There we go. Sometimes just finding the right corner. So we're going to put our foam tape. You can see I've got little white dots all over my hand. I'm going to have to clean off. Hey, that's okay. It is a worthy price to pay for having a lovely splattered background like that one. All right, so this is just going on an A2 white card base. And I think that the white border from that very deep blue background will be really nice on this. Just trying to make sure I don't put it down very crooked. Okay. Oh, I just think that's so fun. It's hard to show the flower detail there because my Kathy, it is awesome. 5 inches. It's 5 inches. It's so nice. It lasts forever because, of course, you get a ton on it. So you can make so many of those foam panels. And I found that really to be the most cost-effective way for foam mounting, background panels like this. I mean, you absolutely could cut more cardstock layers and build it up that way. You could use other foam tapes, but while I love my 3M foam tape, my goodness, it's expensive. So I really found that to be the most cost-effective way. And I don't like saggy cards. I want them to be, I want them to be sturdy. So that is like my tried and true method for mounting cards. Okay, now I'm trying to figure out which one. I really think I'm loving the outline. I think Candace mentioned that earlier too. And I really do think I'm loving it. And now I just have to figure out where I want to put the sentiment. If I want to put it in the upper right corner, or excuse me, upper left alignment, or actually, maybe lower right alignment. Just kind of overlapping the bottom of the, I don't know, friends. Help a girl out here. I'm not completely sure where to put this. I also might overlap them a little bit. Yeah, because then we're going to have this. I'm glad I can help out. I don't mind spending money, but I do try to save where I can. Upper. Someone's telling me upper. I feel like this foil is throwing off my coloring. There we go. Let's move those out. Maybe it will get a little better. Now I'm dying here, guys. Got to look at it on the screen, I think, and see what I think. I think I'm going with upper too, but I'm struggling on this one. This is where I get slower when I'm finishing cards, because I fuss with stuff like this so much. All right, I think I like it on the bottom too, so I'm going to go with the bottom. Yep. All right, I've made up my mind. So we're going down here, kind of flanking everything down to the bottom. But yep, I think I agree with it being on the bottom down here. So that is where we're going to do it. Candace, so for the foam, hold on. I changed the drawer that these were in, so my brain has not caught up fully. They are, let me get my, they are 3.75 this way, and they are 5 inches long. So they basically mat within a 4 by 5 1/4 panel. I don't typically cut them edge to edge for A2 because I do tend to, I do some things edge to edge. I have more tendencies to do things this way. So when I cut my foam down, I just cut it at 3.75 by 5, and then it mats perfectly within there, and it's the exact width of the score tape. So just for reference on that. Okay, so of course, I want to pop this sentiment up a little bit too, off of the panel. So let's grab some foam tape. These are just really thin strips of foam tape that I get on Amazon. They're not branded. They're really, really inexpensive. So they are on my favorites list, and I typically always also add them into my full supply list as well. So that will be on my blog. But if you want to find a link to them on Amazon, like right now, you can find them under the favorites section on my Amazon link list. And this one, I know I'm going to want to overlap a little, so I don't want to put foam tape on the edge. So we'll just kind of put little strips on the other sides. So that leaves this open to overlap the J a little bit. Make sure I'm doing that right. There we go. Perfect. Okay, and then same with the Y. We'll just put little foam tape on this edge. And then here down this little section here. All right. All right, and then back I can overlap over that. So let's go ahead and adhere it. All right. Just try to get these as straight as I can. Yeah, so when you're sending these kind of cards through the mail, I do typically use a non-machinable stamp when I send them, just for reference, because they do make your cards a little bit thicker. Aren't they, Kathy? I think that those thin strips are just fantastic. And I love the cost point for them, honestly, because they're not branded. All right. So there's that. And then finally, got to make sure I am picking the right side because I redid that on this sentiment. And hey, look, this little tiny piece I used is going to come in handy right here on the end. Nothing has gone to waste. I'm going to flip it the other way. I have like a little gap in there, but that'll be okay. Now, finally, I want to decide, I'm not for sure if I'll do this, but I'm going to look. Right, Charlene, see, I was kind of going back and forth because I thought it looked good on the upper, but then I think it just clicked in my brain, putting it down on the lower part and leaving this clear. I think I'm going to add some little gems to the middle of the red flowers, and that will really help give you like a visual triangle for this guy. So I need a little bit, hold on. All right, this is just a little white bowl from Target. I've got all of these little snowflakes that I've had, stamped and heat embossed over this season. And I really want to find the blue ones because I think I might put a little blue snowflake in the middle of Joy. I just got to find the best option for it. Let's see. Oh, I actually think I found the one I want. Yep, I'm done looking. So we can go ahead and put olives in here because they're pretty. All right. And then I think I'm going to pop this up with a little bit of foam because I can never have enough foam tape on something. And most of the time I do, or if I send them in the mail, like I said, I send them with a bunch of extra postage, or I send them in a, what's that kind of envelope, a bubble envelope. And a lot of times I also just tuck things into gift packages as well. So I'm typically not super worried about how thick a card is. You can always leave off any of these layers of dimension that I add. You can always leave it off if that doesn't work out for you. All right. And then I think I can tuck this under a little bit. Nope, maybe it'll go right on top actually, which then tells me this needs to angle a little differently. Yep, more like that. Perfect. Okay. Or do I want it to go down here? Oh, I like it in the middle. That's where we're gonna leave it. Oh, that's awesome, Donna. You know, I don't think I'm wrapping any gifts this year. Everything that we got is big, so I think I'm gonna slap some bows on the boxes and call it good. Okay, just don't want this to be too uneven. I may need to add a couple more pieces of foam tape underneath the right and left side, but I'll do that afterwards to make it a little bit more sturdy so that I don't have to keep you for much longer. So final step, I'm just going to add a couple gems onto these. I think I'm going to use our new glitter drops in Ruby, which I think are right here. Yes, exactly what I'm going to use. Right, Charlene, I agree. I love extra dimension. Now this is just my dual tip embellishment tool that I got on Amazon. We are coming out with a nicer one from Pinkfresh Studio, but that won't be until next year. The first people to get it are the people that are signed up for our February Create and Connect card making event. And we will reopen registration for that in early January if you weren't able to register the first time. So if that's something that's interests you, be on the lookout for that, of course. And then other than that, so for now, I'm just using the nice one or the one I got on Amazon. It's not as nice as the Pinkfresh one, but it still works in a jam. And I like that it has the two tips, the poker tool, the craft pick on one, and then the wax tip on the other. Now the glitter drops are a little thinner than our other, do I want that down there? Nope, I don't. I think we're gonna stick with just those on here. So the glitter drops are a little thinner than our other embellishments, which is kind of nice for shipping purposes, of course, when you're, mailing out a card. But sometimes they're a little harder to flip over. So there's always, a catch-22. A little thinner, which is nicer for shipping, but a little bit harder to get flipped to the right side. But I love them. I think that they're glorious. I think they're such a fun embellishment. And I love that we have them in a really good rainbow of colors so far. I have a feeling we'll add some more, but I don't know for sure. But they do already come in a pretty good mix. Okay, let's get that back on. I use Berrylicious Arts for gluing stuff on like that. It's my favorite liquid glue. There's a ton of liquid glues out there that you can use. This one happens to be my favorite with that nice precise metal tip. It's really great. And that, my friends, is my card today. As I was mentioning, I would love for you guys to let me know if there's an evening this week that would be better for you for doing another live. Could use peony mix, not peony, poppy mix, which technically won the results, but I just didn't have like a great idea for it. So I decided to go with blushing peony for today because I did have a fun Christmas card idea for it. All right, I am going to flip the camera back around to me. Give me 1 second while I do that. I think my light has gotten a bit darker, so I don't know what this is going to look like. Oh, it's not too bad. All right, well, that is my card for you today, friends. I'll get it photographed. I may not get it photographed today because I'm losing light pretty quickly, but I will do my best to get it photographed tomorrow so that I can update the thumbnail on here and get it blogged and all of that fun stuff. So let me know if there is an evening this week that would work better for another live using the poppy mix stamp. So it'll be a lot of similar, to this. It would be very similar to this just because it's a cling stamp. It has layering stencils. It's a floral background, but I'll probably not do Christmas.
And I'll probably use different colors and maybe even foil one of the new sentiments. But I ended up wanting to make this one into a Christmas card. So kind of changed my mind today. All right. Other than that, if I don't hear from anybody on what evening works best, I'll just pick one. And other than that, I am so glad you guys joined me. Thanks for giving me or sharing a little bit of your Sunday afternoon with me. Catherine, do you mean for, well, of course, this one had the stencil for coloring in the background. I don't think the Poppy Mix one does, but give me 1 second. Let me look. Okay, it does not, but let me show you this. It is so detailed that there's really not much background left anyway. So there's just tiny little bits of white left in the Poppy Mix one. So there isn't a stencil for coloring in the whole background, but you're pretty much coloring in the whole thing anyway. So hopefully that helps. Oh, thank you, Annette. I appreciate that. All right, guys, I am going to try to do another live this week for Poppy Mix, because I know that was kind of actually technically the winner. The Blushing Peony was very, very close. They were like right neck and neck. So anybody that's watching this on replay, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed watching it come together. And hopefully I'll be able to jump on one evening this week to do Poppy Mix. So be on the lookout in my Instagram stories or my Facebook page, my emails for that information. If you haven't signed up for my emails yet, you can at leahlawsoncreates.com. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining me. And I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. And I will see you next week. Bye.